During the chaotic days of World War II, one man's bravery stood above all others. Audie Murphy became a symbol of American courage, resilience, and heroism. Born on June 20, 1925 in Kingston, Texas, Murphy's early life was marked by hardship. Raised in poverty and losing his father at a young age, Murphy joined the U.S. Army at just 18 years old during the height of WWFYs. What made Murphy's story extraordinary was not just his decision to serve, but his remarkable journey from an inexperienced recruit to the most decorated soldier in American history. Serving in the 3rd Infantry Division, Murphy fought in several key battles, including the Battle of the Bulge, where he became a legend. His bravery during these campaigns earned him numerous awards, including the Medal of Honor, the highest military distinction in the U.S. Murphy's actions during one of the most intense moments of his service became legendary. On January 26, 1945, during the Battle for Holtzwihr, France, Murphy found himself and his men under heavy German fire. Despite being wounded, Murphy remained at the controls of a machine gun, holding off the advancing German forces and allowing his men to regroup. His actions that day were described as nothing short of heroic, and they saved countless lives. For this, he was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Harry S. Truman. But Murphy's legacy extends beyond his wartime heroism. After the war, he became a Hollywood actor, starring in several films, including a portrayal of himself in the 1955 film To Hell and Back, which recounted his experiences during WPU. Despite his fame, Murphy never sought recognition for his service. He struggled with the psychological toll of war, including what would now be recognized as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. However, Murphy's courage and humility in the face of his battles, both on and off the battlefield, set him apart as a true American hero. Audie Murphy's death on May 28, 1971, in a plane crash, marked the end of an era. He was buried with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery, a final tribute to a man whose legacy continues to inspire the nation. His story remains a testament to the sacrifices made by the men and women who serve in the U.S. military, and he remains a symbol of the highest ideals of American valor. There are few figures in the U.S. military who have attained the level of respect and reverence as Chesty Puller, one of the most decorated Marine Corps officers in American history. Born on June 26, 1898, in West Point, Virginia, Puller grew up in a family with a strong military tradition. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1918, just after World War I, and began a long and illustrious career that would span over 3 decades. Puller's early years in the military were spent learning the ropes of the Marine Corps in various assignments, but it was during World War II and the Korean War that he truly earned his legendary status. His leadership was defined by his bravery, his commitment to his men, and his unwavering belief in the values of the Marine Corps. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Puller's career was his ability to lead and inspire his men in some of the most challenging and dangerous situations imaginable. He served in the Haitian Campaign in the 1920s, during which he gained a reputation as a tough and capable officer. However, it was in the brutal battles of World War II and the Korean War that his legend was truly born. In World War II, Puller served in the Pacific Theater, where he led his Marines in several important battles, including the Battle of Guadalcanal and the Battle of Peleliu. His leadership during these fierce campaigns earned him the admiration of his men and his superiors. Puller's ability to stay calm under pressure, his tactical brilliance, and his personal courage made him a beloved figure within the Marine Corps. However, it was during the Korean War that Puller's name became synonymous with Marine Corps heroism. In 1950, during the Battle of Chosin Reservoir, Puller and his troops found themselves surrounded by Chinese forces in one of the harshest conditions any military unit could face. Despite the overwhelming odds, Puller's leadership and tactical decisions allowed his men to hold their ground and fight their way out of the encirclement. His ability to keep his men motivated and organized in such dire circumstances earned him the admiration of everyone involved in the battle. He was awarded the Navy Cross for his bravery during this campaign, one of many honors he received throughout his career. Chesty Puller's military career was decorated with numerous medals, including 5 Navy Crosses, the second highest decoration for valor in the U.S. military, 2 Distinguished Service Crosses, and the Bronze Star. He became the most decorated Marine in American history, and his name is still synonymous with courage, leadership, and sacrifice. After retiring from the military in 1955, Puller continued to be involved in veterans' affairs, advocating for those who had served and ensuring their contributions were not forgotten. Though he passed away on October 11, 1971, his legacy continues to inspire the men and women of the Marine Corps. His motto, "Do what you can, with what you have, where you are," remains a guiding principle for military personnel and civilians alike. In the history of the U.S. military, few figures are as complex and as highly decorated as Smedley Butler, a man whose career spanned both heroic achievements and a deep moral awakening. Butler's life and legacy highlight not only the physical bravery required on the battlefield, but also the intellectual courage needed to challenge the very system he served. Born on July 30, 1881, in Westchester, Pennsylvania, Butler was destined for a military career. His father was a U.S. congressman, and Smedley's early life was shaped by a sense of duty and public service. Butler enlisted in the United States Marine Corps at the age of 16, and by 1914, he had already earned a reputation as a skilled and reliable officer. Butler's military career would prove to be distinguished, with an extraordinary record of service across several key campaigns. He served in the Philippine insurrection, the Boxer Rebellion in China, and the Haitian and Dominican Republic interventions in the early 20th century. His bravery in these campaigns earned him the prestigious Medal of Honor on 2 separate occasions, making him one of only a handful of individuals in U.S. history to achieve such an honor. His first Medal of Honor came in 1914 for his actions during the Battle of Veracruz, where Butler led Marines in a daring assault on the heavily defended city. His leadership and courage were critical in the success of the mission, earning him widespread acclaim. Butler's second Medal of Honor came in 1930, following his service in the Haitian campaign, where he was tasked with restoring order in a country torn apart by political instability. Though Butler's military career was decorated, his later life revealed a man who had grown deeply disillusioned with the wars he had fought and the motivations behind them. As he rose through the ranks, Butler began to see a pattern. Many of the conflicts in which the U.S. had been involved were not about protecting national interests, but were driven by economic motives, particularly related to corporate interests and the expansion of U.S. influence. In 1935, Butler shocked the country with his outspoken critique of U.S. military interventions in Central America and the Caribbean. His famous statement, "War is a racket," reflected his growing realization that many wars were fought to benefit large corporations, particularly those in the oil, mining, and agricultural sectors, rather than to protect the American people. Butler's criticisms were seen as radical, and he began speaking publicly about the need for military reform and an end to imperialistic interventions. Butler's most controversial moment came in 1934, when he was reportedly approached by a group of wealthy businessmen who sought his help in orchestrating a military coup against President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The plot known as the Business Plot, aimed to install a fascist government in the United States, with the backing of American industrialists. Butler, who had already grown disillusioned with the political system, reported the conspiracy to Congress, which ultimately led to investigations into the plot. Although no one was charged, the incident further solidified Butler's reputation as a staunch critic of the U.S. government and military-industrial complex. After retiring from the Marine Corps in 1931, Butler devoted much of his life to advocating for peace, justice, and the dismantling of militarism. He became a vocal speaker and writer, denouncing the military's role in global conflicts and urging citizens to challenge the system that he had once been a part of. His transformation from a war hero to a vocal anti-war advocate is one of the most unique aspects of his legacy. Smedley Butler passed away on June 21, 1940, but his life and words continue to resonate in modern discussions about war, economics, and the role of the military in American society. His decision to speak out against the very system that had once rewarded him with the highest honors is a testament to his courage, not only on the battlefield, but in the face of the profound moral questions that war often raises. In the annals of American military history, there are few names as synonymous with heroism as John Basilone. A Marine Corps legend, Basilone's actions during the Battle of Guadalcanal during World War II made him an icon of courage and selflessness, earning him the Medal of Honor and setting him apart as one of the war's most celebrated heroes. Born on November 4, 1916 in Buffalo, New York, John Basilone was of Italian descent and grew up in a working-class family. After high school, he enlisted in the United States Army, but later transferred to the Marine Corps, where he found a natural fit. His military career began with a series of duties in the United States, but it was his deployment to the Pacific Theater during World War II that would solidify his place in history. Basilone's most significant moment came during the Battle of Guadalcanal in 1942, a brutal and pivotal engagement in the Pacific. The island was strategically important, and U.S. forces were locked in a desperate fight to push back the Japanese army. During a critical moment of the battle, Basilone's company was faced with overwhelming Japanese forces. Armed with a machine gun, Basilone held his position for hours, repelling wave after wave of enemy soldiers and inflicting heavy casualties. For his actions during the battle, Basilone was awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest military distinction in the United States. His bravery, leadership, and unshakable determination in the face of certain death inspired those around him and became a symbol of American resolve in the Pacific. His courage was not just about personal survival. It was about protecting his fellow soldiers and ensuring their success in the fight against tyranny. After receiving the Medal of Honor, Basilone's fame grew, and he was sent back to the United States to participate in war bond drives and public relations campaigns. He could have stayed behind, but instead, Basilone chose to return to the front lines in 1944. His sense of duty and his commitment to his comrades in arms led him to ask for a return to combat, despite having already achieved the highest honors. His second deployment took him to Iwo Jima, one of the most intense battles of the Pacific War. On February 19, 1945, Basilone's battalion landed on the island. Despite the ferocity of the fight and the personal risks involved, Basilone once again proved his valor. Tragically, during the battle, Basilone was killed in action by a Japanese mortar shell. His death was a devastating blow to his comrades, who had come to see him as a symbol of hope and resilience. Basilone's legacy endured, not just through his medals, but through the lives he saved and the inspiration he provided to future generations. The John Basilone Memorial in Riverside, New Jersey, stands as a tribute to his courage and sacrifice. In 1949, his story was immortalized in the film Sands of Iwo Jima, which further cemented his status as a national hero. Though his life was tragically short, John Bazilone's bravery at Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima exemplifies the qualities that have made the U.S. military legendary: courage, duty, and an unwavering commitment to the defense of freedom. His sacrifice continues to inspire those who serve and is a reminder of the price of liberty. While Theodore Roosevelt is remembered as one of America's most dynamic presidents, his son, Theodore Roosevelt Jr., became a legend in his own right through his bravery and leadership during World War II. As the eldest son of President Theodore Roosevelt, Teddy Jr. grew up in the shadow of a larger-than-life father, but he forged his own path as a military leader and an American hero. Born on September 13, 1887 in New York City, Teddy Roosevelt Jr. was the product of a politically and socially influential family. He was educated at Harvard University, where he was known for his leadership abilities, much like his famous father. However, unlike his father, who was known for his energy and assertiveness, Teddy Jr. was marked by a calm and thoughtful demeanor. This quality would serve him well later in life. Teddy Roosevelt Jr. first served in the U.S. Army during World War I, where he was recognized for his leadership and bravery. After the war, he worked in various business and political roles, but he eventually returned to military service in the years leading up to World War II. When the United States entered the war, Roosevelt Jr. did not hesitate to volunteer for active duty, despite being in his 50s and having previously suffered from health issues, including asthma. As a senior officer in the U.S. Army, Roosevelt was appointed as a brigadier general and assigned to the Normandy invasion. D-Day, June 6, 1944, marked one of the most significant days in modern history, as the Allies launched their long-awaited invasion of Nazi-occupied France. Teddy Roosevelt Jr. was tasked with leading his division, the 4th Infantry Division, onto the beaches of Utah Beach. What made Roosevelt's actions on D-Day so remarkable was not just his bravery, but his leadership under fire. On the morning of the invasion, his landing craft was delayed, and by the time Roosevelt's troops hit the beaches, the area was heavily fortified and under heavy enemy fire. Most of the commanders would have assumed the beach was too dangerous to land. But Roosevelt, despite being in his mid-50s and suffering from arthritis, led his men with unshakable resolve. When he landed at Utah Beach, Roosevelt Jr. famously said, "We'll start the war from here." He immediately began to organize his troops and lead them inland, facing German machine gun fire and artillery barrages. His calm leadership in the face of overwhelming adversity inspired his men and ensured the success of his division's landing. Roosevelt's leadership didn't end with D-Day. He continued to fight in the European theater, participating in several key operations. However, his health deteriorated during the campaign, and the stress of combat, combined with his previous health conditions, took a toll on him. On July 12, 1944, just a month after D-Day, Teddy Roosevelt Jr. died of a heart attack in Normandy, France at the age of 56. The nation mourned the loss of this courageous officer, who had not only served with honor, but had carried the legacy of his father into the battlefield. In recognition of his actions, Roosevelt was posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest U.S. military decoration. Teddy Roosevelt Jr.'s actions on D-Day, his leadership, his courage under fire, and his ability to inspire his troops cemented his place in history as a true American hero. His legacy continues to serve as an example of the qualities that define military leadership and personal sacrifice. He was a man who led not by words, but by action, embodying the values of honor, duty, and patriotism. General H. Norman Schwarzkopf, often remembered for his leadership during Operation Desert Storm in the Gulf War, became one of the most influential military figures of the late 20th century. His strategic brilliance, calm demeanor, and decisive action helped the United States and its allies achieve a swift victory against Iraqi forces under Saddam Hussein. Schwarzkopf's career, however, spanned much more than just this victory, and his legacy is one of discipline, innovation, and unwavering leadership. Born on August 22, 1934 in Trenton, New Jersey, Norman Schwarzkopf came from a military family. His father was a prominent U.S. Army officer, and his upbringing was steeped in the values of discipline, respect, and service. Schwarzkopf followed in his father's footsteps, attending the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and graduating in 1956. His early military career took him across the globe, serving in various capacities, including in Vietnam, where he earned several decorations for bravery and leadership. Schwarzkopf's time in Vietnam had a profound effect on his career. The lessons he learned in counterinsurgency warfare and leadership during the difficult years in Southeast Asia were pivotal to shaping his later success. He was promoted to the rank of Major General in the 1980s, and his experience and leadership began to earn him the respect of his peers in the Army. However, it was in 1990 that Schwarzkopf's legacy was truly solidified. When Iraq, under the leadership of Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait, the international community, led by the United States, responded swiftly. Schwarzkopf was appointed commander of U.S. Central Command, responsible for leading all American and Allied forces in the region. His task was monumental: to repel the Iraqi invasion, protect Saudi Arabia, and ensure the liberation of Kuwait. Schwarzkopf's strategy for the Gulf War was groundbreaking and highly effective. He employed the left hook strategy, a complex maneuver that involved an initial air campaign to weaken Iraq's forces, followed by a ground assault that came from the west, a direction the Iraqis did not anticipate. His ability to orchestrate a fast-moving, overwhelming attack, which minimized American casualties, led to the successful liberation of Kuwait and the destruction of much of Saddam Hussein's military apparatus. The Gulf War was a stunning success for the U.S. military and its allies, and Schwarzkopf's leadership was central to the victory. He was hailed as a military hero, and his success in leading such a complex coalition earned him widespread praise both in the U.S. and abroad. Schwarzkopf was known for his ability to maintain calm under pressure and to make difficult decisions with clarity and precision. After the war, Schwarzkopf became a national figure. His role in Desert Storm earned him the Presidential Medal of Freedom and several other prestigious awards. He retired from the military in 1991, ending a distinguished career that had included numerous deployments and leadership roles. Schwarzkopf's post-military life saw him become a public figure, often speaking on military strategy, leadership, and foreign policy. He also worked as a commentator and author, publishing his memoir, It Doesn't Take a Hero, which provided insights into his military career and his leadership philosophy. He became an advocate for veterans' causes and was deeply involved in efforts to support those who served in the military. Norman Schwarzkopf passed away on December 27, 2012, but his legacy continues to inspire military leaders and civilians alike. He will always be remembered for his role in shaping the outcome of the Gulf War, his ability to lead in times of great stress, and his unwavering commitment to the defense of freedom. Schwarzkopf's career exemplified the qualities of leadership, discipline, and dedication that are essential to success in both war and life. Daniel Inouye was not only a hero of World War II, but also a respected public servant who spent nearly 5 decades representing the state of Hawaii in the U.S. Senate. His life was a remarkable story of bravery, resilience, and dedication to his country, a country that he defended both with his service in the military and his work in government. Born on September 7, 1924 in Honolulu, Hawaii, Inouye was the son of Japanese immigrants. As a young man, he was deeply influenced by the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, which led the United States to enter World War II. The attack galvanized Inouye's sense of duty and patriotism. As a member of the Japanese-American community, he faced prejudice, but that did not deter him from serving. In 1943, at the age of 18, Inouye enlisted in the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, a unit made up entirely of Japanese Americans. It would become one of the most decorated units in U.S. military history. Inouye's courage and leadership were evident in battle. During the Battle of Italy, he demonstrated incredible bravery under fire. While assaulting a German machine gun position in 1945, Inouye was severely wounded. Despite losing his right arm in the battle, he continued to lead his men and even helped bring the operation to a successful conclusion. For his heroism, he was awarded the Medal of Honor, the U.S. military's highest honor. He was just 21 years old. After the war, Inouye returned to Hawaii, where he attended the University of Hawaii and then Georgetown University Law Center, eventually becoming a lawyer. In 1954, Inouye entered politics, serving in the Hawaii State Senate, and in 1959, when Hawaii became a state, he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. His time in Congress was marked by a deep commitment to civil rights, education, and the welfare of veterans, issues that had been close to his heart throughout his life. In 1962, Inouye made history by becoming the first Japanese American elected to the U.S. Senate, where he served for nearly 50 years. In the Senate, he was known for his bipartisan approach, working across party lines to pass crucial legislation. Inouye played a significant role in the development of Hawaii's economy, ensuring that the state received federal funding for infrastructure, education, and health care. He was also a fierce advocate for civil rights and social justice. Inouye was a key supporter of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, both landmark pieces of legislation that changed the course of American history. His career in the Senate was marked by his tireless work on behalf of veterans, particularly those who had served in World War II, and his advocacy for a more just and inclusive society. Inouye's legacy extends far beyond his military service and time in Congress. He became a symbol of the American dream, a man who overcame adversity, discrimination, and personal sacrifice to serve his country with distinction. His dedication to public service and his efforts to improve the lives of his fellow Americans made him a respected figure in both Hawaii and Washington, D.C. Daniel Inouye passed away on December 17, 2012, at the age of 88. His death marked the end of an era in American politics, but his impact is still felt today. Inouye's life is a testament to the power of perseverance, courage, and dedication to a cause greater than oneself. He remains a hero not only to the people of Hawaii, but to the entire nation. James H. Doolittle, often known simply as Jimmy Doolittle, was one of the most celebrated aviators and military leaders in World War II. A pioneering figure in both civilian and military aviation, Doolittle's daring Doolittle raid on Japan in 1942 became a defining moment in the Pacific theater of the war, and his leadership would go on to have a significant impact on the U.S. Air Force and military aviation as a whole. Born on December 14, 1896, in San Diego, California, Doolittle developed an early interest in aviation. His education at California Institute of Technology, and later at MIT, helped him master the technical aspects of flight. But it was his natural skill as a pilot that set him apart. Doolittle became a national hero in the 1930s, as he set multiple records in speed and distance, including being the first pilot to complete an instrument flight, flying without visual references, relying solely on instruments. In 1940, when the United States was on the brink of entering World War II, Doolittle's civilian achievements were put to use when he was recruited by the U.S. Army Air Forces. His military career would soon intersect with some of the most critical moments of the war. In 1942, after the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor, President Franklin D. Roosevelt requested a bold strike against Japan to boost American morale and show that the U.S. could retaliate. Doolittle was selected to lead the Doolittle Raid, a daring bombing mission that involved flying 16 B-25 bombers from the aircraft carrier USS Hornet to bomb Tokyo and other cities on the Japanese home islands. The raid was risky. The bombers had to take off from an aircraft carrier, a difficult and dangerous feat for heavy bombers. The mission was also limited in its payload, and the bombers would not have enough fuel to return to the carrier. Despite these challenges, Doolittle's leadership and bravery in executing the raid made it one of the most successful and symbolic actions of the war. The Doolittle raid itself was not a military game-changer in terms of damage to Japan's infrastructure, but it had an enormous psychological impact. The raid demonstrated that Japan was vulnerable to American attacks, which was a significant boost to U.S. morale and a devastating blow to the Japanese psyche. The raid also proved that long-range bombing raids could be carried out from aircraft carriers, a tactical advantage that would become important in the Pacific theater. For his leadership during the raid, Doolittle was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest military decoration in the U.S. His fame grew, and he was promoted to Major General in the U.S. Army Air Forces. Doolittle continued to lead bombing missions across the Pacific, and his strategic innovations helped shape U.S. military aviation during World War II. After the war, Doolittle continued his career in aviation, becoming a key figure in the development of the U.S. Air Force as a separate branch of the military. He also worked in the aerospace industry and served as a leader in several major aviation organizations. His legacy as one of the most influential military leaders of the 20th century endures through the numerous advancements in military aviation that he helped pioneer. James "Jimmy" Doolittle's legacy is one of courage, ingenuity, and leadership. His contributions to both military strategy and aviation technology shaped the way the United States would approach warfare for decades to come. Doolittle passed away on September 27, 1993, at the age of 96, but his name remains synonymous with daring innovation and the indomitable spirit of military leadership. In the annals of military history, there are few units as legendary as Merrill's Marauders. Formed during World War II, this elite group of soldiers, led by Brigadier General Frank Merrill, became known for their extraordinary courage, endurance, and ability to fight in one of the most challenging environments imaginable: the dense, unforgiving jungles of Burma. The unit, officially known as the 5307th Composite Unit, Provisional, was a special operations force established in 1943 as part of the Allied effort to fight back against the Japanese in Southeast Asia. The Marauders were tasked with a difficult mission: to march deep into Japanese-held Burma and strike at key supply lines, disrupting the Japanese forces' ability to fight effectively. The operation was part of a larger strategy to prevent the Japanese from controlling critical resources in the region. The men who made up Merrill's Marauders were volunteers, many of whom came from various branches of the U.S. military. They were trained for unconventional warfare, with a focus on speed, stealth, and self-sufficiency. This was no ordinary infantry unit. These soldiers were specially selected for their resilience and combat abilities, and they would soon prove their worth in one of the most grueling campaigns of World War II. The Marauders were tasked with a near-impossible mission: to march over 1,000 miles through some of the most inhospitable terrain in the world, battling not only the Japanese, but also the elements. extreme heat, monsoon rains, and thick jungle. Their journey through Burma was a test of endurance, where every day was a fight for survival. The unit had to contend with limited supplies, poor medical care, and the constant threat of ambush. Despite these obstacles, Merrill's Marauders made significant progress. They launched a series of successful raids on Japanese positions, destroying supply depots, communication lines, and airstrips. Their most significant operation came in 1944, when they participated in the Battle of Myitkyina, a crucial engagement that eventually led to the capture of the Japanese stronghold of Myitkyina. The battle was hard-fought and required not only military skill, but also incredible perseverance. The Marauders fought through difficult jungle terrain and heavy Japanese resistance, but their success was a critical turning point in the campaign. The toll on Merrill's Marauders was immense. By the end of their mission, over 70% of the unit had been either killed, wounded, or fallen ill. The physical and psychological strain was unbearable, but the unit's success in Burma significantly weakened the Japanese forces in the region and helped pave the way for the eventual Allied victory in Southeast Asia. Merrill's Marauders were disbanded after their mission in Burma, but their legacy lived on. They were awarded the Distinguished Unit Citation, and many of the men who served in the unit went on to have distinguished careers in the military. The Marauders became a symbol of courage and resilience, and their success inspired future special operations units, including the Green Berets and Rangers, who adopted many of the tactics and principles used by Merrill's men. The story of Merrill's Marauders is a testament to the indomitable spirit of soldiers who fought in one of the most difficult and dangerous environments of World War II. Their courage, determination, and resourcefulness in the face of overwhelming odds make them one of the most revered and legendary units in military history. In 2004, a story of sacrifice, duty, and patriotism captured the hearts of millions of Americans. Pat Tillman, a professional football player turned soldier, became a symbol of selflessness and courage. But his life and death also highlighted the complexity of war and the cost of service. Born on November 6, 1976 in Fresno, California, Pat Tillman was an accomplished athlete. He played college football for Arizona State University, where he was a standout linebacker. His talent on the field led to a draft pick by the Arizona Cardinals in 1998, and he quickly became one of the team's most respected players. Tillman was known for his determination, work ethic, and leadership both on and off the field, earning a reputation as a fierce competitor and a role model. However, in 2002, after the events of September 11th, Tillman made a decision that would forever alter the course of his life. Despite the financial success of his football career, he chose to leave behind the comforts of fame and wealth to serve in the U.S. Army. In an era when many athletes were criticized for their perceived detachment from national issues, Tillman's decision to enlist in the military was both shocking and admirable. He enlisted in the Army Rangers, a decision that would ultimately lead him into the heart of the conflict in Afghanistan. Tillman's decision to serve in the military was met with widespread admiration. The media and public saw him as a hero for choosing duty over personal gain, and his story was widely covered. Tillman's enlistment was also seen as a rare example of someone using their platform for a higher purpose. His selflessness became a symbol of patriotism, and many viewed him as a modern-day hero, willing to sacrifice everything for his country. In 2004, after undergoing rigorous training, Tillman was deployed to Afghanistan. He served as part of a team that was tasked with tracking down members of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Tillman's military service was marked by the same qualities that had made him a star on the football field: dedication, focus, and a willingness to fight for what he believed in. However, on April 22, 2004, while serving in Afghanistan, Pat Tillman was killed in a firefight. Initially, the military reported that Tillman had been killed by enemy fire, but further investigation revealed that he had actually been accidentally shot by friendly fire. The tragic circumstances surrounding his death were shrouded in confusion and controversy, as the military initially misrepresented the details of the incident. In the aftermath of Tillman's death, a national outcry ensued. Questions arose about the military's handling of the situation and the way in which they had portrayed Tillman's death. It was revealed that Tillman's death had been obscured to shield the military from criticism, and there was anger over the way his sacrifice was used as propaganda. Despite the controversy surrounding his death, Tillman's legacy as a symbol of courage and patriotism remained intact. His decision to serve and the ultimate sacrifice he made represented the ideals of selflessness and duty that continue to inspire Americans. Tillman's story raised important questions about the nature of war, the sacrifices made by soldiers, and the way those sacrifices are sometimes misunderstood or manipulated. His death led to reforms within the military regarding transparency and the handling of incidents involving friendly fire. Today, Pat Tillman is remembered not only for his service and sacrifice, but also for the example he set in choosing duty over personal comfort. His legacy lives on through the Pat Tillman Foundation, which provides scholarships and support to veterans and their families. Tillman's story is a reminder of the profound impact one individual can have, both in life and in death, and the importance of living with purpose, integrity, and courage.